Hey everyone, and welcome back. So the month of October is already here. What that means is it's time to look at what are the best upcoming games for the month of October. Or at least, what are the best games that have been announced so far. Now normally, I try to keep these lists around 10 games, but there are so many games coming out in the month of October that I think have a ton of potential that I've actually upped it to 15 games. And most of these games aren't big AAA releases. Over 3/4 of the list are indie titles that look like they're going to have a ton of potential and could turn out to be great games. So you know what? Let's not waste any more time and jump straight into the games. Now just don't forget that if you do like the content, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Now our first release for this month is going to be a weird one, with Toree 2 that will be releasing on October 4th and will only cost 99 cents. Now Toree 2 is an ultra budget 3D action platformer, and you know what? The reason why I believe this game is going to have a lot of potential is that Toree 1 has already released. It's at a similar price point, and for this price point, you're actually getting a quite decent game. It is a very straightforward action platformer with very short levels where you just basically have to complete the levels. It has a PS1 almost art style to it as well. And basically they seem to have retaken the exact same engine as Toree 1 and basically developed new levels for it. And at a 99-cent release price point for a younger kid or anyone who just wants an easy to pick up, straightforward 3D action platformer and isn't a stickler for high-grade graphics, you know what? This can be an excellent pickup. Now next, we have one of the bigger releases for the month of October. Coming on October 5th, we have Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, which is actually normally $49.99, but right now there's a pre-order bonus dropping it to $39.99. Now basically, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is pretty easy to sum up. Imagine a Super Smash Bros. Style game, but rather than having gaming and Nintendo characters, you have the characters from the popular Nickelodeon series, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like SpongeBob, and all those other cartoons that they have the property rights to. Ultimately, do I think this game is going to be as refined as Super Smash Bros? I don't think so, but for anyone looking for an easy to pick up fighter, especially once again, maybe with a younger public, I do think that there will be a ton of fun to be had here in the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Now next, we have another big release coming on October 5th with Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania releasing with its normal edition at $39.99 or its deluxe edition at $49.99. The deluxe edition basically gives you some cosmetic upgrades. Now personally, I do think this is going to be a very strong Super Monkey Ball experience, with more than 300 stages that are taken from the original Super Monkey Ball 2, and Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, all redone in HD for your Nintendo Switch. Also included will be 12 minigames, online leaderboards. Ultimately, I do think that this is the Super Monkey Ball we've been waiting for on the Nintendo Switch, and I for one am going to be picking up the physical version as soon as it comes out on October 5th. Now we're not done with October 5th yet, because there is a third game releasing, which is an indie release called Rainbow Billy that will be selling for $29.99, and it looks like it could be a great game. Now Rainbow Billy's been a game that I've had on my radar since E3 of this year when I first saw its trailer. It's described as a creature capture 2.5D adventure puzzle platformer with RPG elements. Now visually it looks amazing, reminding me a lot of the art style that we got in Cuphead. Gameplay wise, it seems to be pulling elements from that series as well as different puzzle platformers and even as far as Paper Mario. But for this month of October, if there's an indie game that turns out to be a breakout hit, I wouldn't be surprised that it would be Rainbow Billy. And I will definitely be keeping an eye on this one and hopefully coming out with a review as soon as possible, or at least a Let's Play video. Now for the next game on our list, I'm going to be jumping to October 7th with the Lightbringer that will be releasing for $14.99, and it actually currently already has a downloadable demo. Now, Lightbringer is described as a story-driven adventure platformer game. And I've got to say, from the trailer that I've seen and the 5 or 10 minutes that I've been able to put into the demo, I've got to say that I am very impressed with what I've played so far. The visual aesthetics here are extremely clean and the level designs look very interesting with some really original puzzles that will keep you on your toes. I will obviously reserve final judgment till the game actually fully releases, but if you're a fan of adventure platformers, I would definitely put this one on my wish list and check out reviews as soon as it's released. Now next, on October 8th, we've got the biggest release of the month that probably needs little to no introduction with Metroid Dread at $59.99. Now Metroid might have a smaller following than some other Nintendo properties, but it is an extremely loyal following of which I'm a part of. And I've got to tell you, when they announced a brand new Metroid game, and on top of it being a 2D Metroidvania style game, I was extremely excited. Now, so far from everything we've seen about this game, it will be a true AAA first-party title from Nintendo that will probably turn out to be a brand new classic. Obviously, to make sure about that point, we'll have to wait till October 8th, but I for one will be in line for my collector's edition as soon as stores open up on the 8th, and I'll be streaming the game all day. Now next, we have a release that is lined up for October 12th with Disco Elysium, the final cut, being released for $39.99. Now, I personally was unfamiliar with this game series before. However, based on the reaction of my viewers when we were watching the Nintendo Direct, a lot of people are super excited for this game and have guaranteed me that it is an excellent experience. So although personally this game wasn't originally on my radar, since then I've been watching the trailers, I've been finding out about the game, and yes, I will be very excited for its release on October 12th. I'm not sure I'll have the time for such a huge RPG, but if I do, I will definitely be playing it as much as I can. Now next, we have a game that has attracted my attention, but it's maybe my biggest question mark of the month, with Monster Crown also releasing on October 12th for $29.99. Now this is a game in the monster taming or monster training type of environment, so yes, somewhat along the lines of a Pokemon type game, but it seems to be done with a really original pixel art style, and I do think quite original gameplay mechanics. Now, a few other games have released in the past few months, but they were quite buggy on their release. I'm really hoping that this one releases in a very solid form. And personally, I do think the reason why I'm putting the big question mark on this game is I do find it seems very high at $29.99 for this kind of retro style game. I would have felt more comfortable between $15 to $20, but we'll see. Maybe this game releases and is a huge undertaking and will be worth the $30. But personally, this is one that I'd wait for a few reviews before picking up. Now next, on October 13th, we have a game that did attract my attention in the form of Critadel that will be releasing for $19.99. Now this seems to be a hardcore action run-and-gun shooter with GBA-inspired graphics. Now this is not the only retro-inspired run-and-gun shooter releasing this month, but it does seem to have a lot of qualities that definitely merits closer attention, such as 3 different playable characters and even a boss rush mode. Overall, this does seem geared towards hardcore fans, so if you do fit the bill, I would keep an eye out for October 13th. Now the next game we're going to take a look at is also releasing on October 13th. It is Lumione. Currently, there is a pre-order bonus that is dropping the price to $11.69 with a regular release price of $12.99. Now this is definitely one of the indies I am most interested in this month, because it almost seems to be blending elements of both Celeste and Evergate into an incredibly visually appealing side-scrolling platformer. Now the game description says that there will be 170 levels with over 10 different game mechanics to make your way through them. Another thing, however, they do describe this as an agonizing side-scrolling platformer, meaning that the gameplay is very simple, yet it should have a very high difficulty level. It's making me think even a little bit of a Super Meat Boy type of game. But once again, if you've been following the channel, you know that this type of game is right in my wheelhouse, so I'm very excited to see if it lives up to these comparisons on October 13th. Now next, on October 19th, we have one of the bigger releases announced in the last Nintendo Direct, with Dying Light the Platinum Edition releasing for $49.99. Now yet again, probably a game that needs very little to no introduction, but basically, This is the ultimate open world zombie survival game. And in this package, you're getting the base game, but all the DLC included as well. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this game to finally be ported to the Switch, and on October 19th, we're gonna find out if that port was well done or not. But definitely if you're a fan of the series and you've always wanted it in a portable format, well, maybe your prayers will be answered this month. Now, on October 20th, we have another indie title that I think has a lot of potential, with the spectacular Sparky releasing for $14.99. Now, this is another run-and-gun type shooter. However, this time it looks like it has graphics that are pulled directly from the Sega Genesis. I mean, just its level designs and character designs remind me a lot of a wackier, dynamite-heady type of art style. The game says it's going to have 24 levels with huge boss fights and even vehicles that Sparky will be able to pilot. It's also going to have 5 difficulty levels, going from super casual to super nightmare, so this might be a run and gun shooter for everyone. But I can guarantee you that on October 20th, I'll definitely be picking this game up because it really has sparked a ton of interest. Now, we've only got about 3 games left, but the next one looks like it could be another amazing entry, with Okinawa Rush releasing on October 28th for $19.99, and yet again, this game already has a downloadable demo available. Now, this is a 2D retro-styled brawler, and personally, that's a type of game that I enjoy quite a bit. Now, looking at the different trailers and playing just a few minutes of the demo yet again, it really looks like it's a blend of the graphics from the Fight and Rage game with almost the mechanics from the Ninja Saviors. And both those games are among my top 3 brawlers on the Nintendo Switch. Now, once again, I'm going to reserve final judgment till I play the full game, but if this game turns out to be as good as I think it will, it might actually go into my top 5 brawlers on the Nintendo Switch. But definitely check in to the end of the month. I'll be giving my verdict on Okinawa Rush. Now, our before last entry is going to be another indie title with DUSK that will be releasing also on October 28th, once again for $19.99. Now, DUSK looks like an amazing retro-styled FPS game. And to me personally, it looks like it's pulled straight from the Nintendo 64. On top of it, it looks like it has an amazing horror thematic to it, and it's going to be releasing right in time for Halloween. I also know that Limited Run Games is planning a physical release of this game, so you know what? I do think that this is going to turn out to be a really interesting FPS game on the Nintendo Switch. And for anyone who doesn't mind the retro style, I would definitely keep my eyes peeled on reviews of this one. Now, we're ending today's list with probably yet again a game that needs no introduction, Mario Party Superstars, that is going to be releasing on October 29th, once again for the full price of $59.99. Now, we all already know that the original Mario Party game released on the Nintendo Switch was definitely not the best entry in the series. So for the Superstar Collection, they're returning to some of the best boards that we saw on the Nintendo 64. It's also going to include 100 classic minigames, and yes, this time online play will be included. But ultimately, if you're a fan of the Mario Party series, or you're just looking for one of the best party games to pick up on the Nintendo Switch, I do think you're going to be satisfied with what we get here. I just wish the price point wasn't quite so high on this one. So there we have it. Those are the top 15 games that have been announced so far for the month of October that I'll be personally keeping an eye on. Let me know what you thought of the list. Are there any games that I maybe missed that you'll be keeping an eye on? Also, for the regulars of the channel, I'm sorry that the upload schedule's been a little slimmer than usual this week. Unfortunately, I was really sick at the beginning of the week. I didn't have a voice, so I really pushed out to get the eShop deals on Wednesday. But don't worry, starting next week, we'll be going back to a full schedule. Now, last thing on the way out, don't forget that if you did like the content, as I said earlier, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when all my future content comes out. And as usual, I hope I'll see you in my next video.